Fido is not always your friend, and in drug cases, drug dogs are a very common element that must be considered in your defense. If you're stopped on the side of the road by law enforcement, especially one that has a canine unit or a drug dog in their vehicle, it is not a very high bar for that law enforcement officer to take their dog out of their vehicle and do what's called a free air sniff around the vehicle itself. Courts, time and time again, have decided that this is not actually a search or seizure of your vehicle or your property that's invasive. And since the minimal intrusion of a dog sniffing around the outside of your car is such a minimal impact on you, it's not a very high bar for law enforcement to have this ability. Now, we've been able to successfully fight cases where we present that law enforcement's delay or causing you to remain at the scene longer than necessary to either have a canine dog arrive or interrogating you or questioning you for too long before they believe they have sufficient evidence to use the canine as a basis to suppress or keep out this type of evidence. But it is very common in drug cases to find canine units being used to do free air sniffs around the vehicle. Now, one of the important things to keep in mind is that dogs have specific alerts that they're trained on by the academies, and they do follow-up training with their handler or with law enforcement that the law enforcement officer can see as an alert as the dog is prevailing the outside of the vehicle or doing a free air sniff. Now, best case scenario, this interaction is recorded because the officer has positioned their vehicle and the dash cam recording the front of their vehicle in such a way that we can observe what the canine is doing during the interaction. Law enforcement officers are human, and they're motivated sometimes potentially to go beyond what they should do. And we've had many cases, unfortunately, where it's been documented that the law enforcement officer has caused their dog to alert on the vehicle, whether it's pointing or touching a location, and then the dog follows up by doing an identified alert to that location, be it freeze or point or touch their nose to that spot. All of these are important avenues that we can seek to suppress or keep evidence out by showing that the canine handler alerted to the location, not the dog itself. Another important thing to keep in mind is just like intoxilizers for DUI stops must be calibrated and properly tested, canine dogs must be properly certified on at least annual basis to still be a valid canine to alert at the scene of a traffic stop. We've been successful in multiple cases showing that a canine's record of training or certifications have expired, and therefore any alert that that canine does is not admissible in court. If your loved one is subjected to a canine search of your vehicle that resulted in a hit, or that dog alerted to your car and subsequently an inventory search was done and you were arrested, it is not the end of the road. You have avenues that you can work with an experienced defense attorney to show whether or not that dog or the handler violated your rights in the execution of that search or in the process leading up to the search by that canine. Do not give up hope just because there's an alert on your vehicle that resulted in arrest. You have the right to be protected from unreasonable searches and seizures, and when you work with an experienced attorney, they can help ensure that your rights were not violated, even by Fido that's acting as a police officer in your case.